In this lesson, we're going to see how we can add neon lights to a dance video. You could add it to any other video, but I'm just going to focus on the dance videos because for a while it was a trend to edit dance videos like that, and maybe you've wondered how they do it. So in this lesson, we're going to see how they do it. So I'm going to create a new composition. Name it dance. And I'm going to go into resource pack. In the resource pack, you have one dance video, which is from Pexels. Just import that as a footage. Import, and we're basically going to be using the brush tool that we already learned how we can use to draw neon glowing lines onto this lady. I'm going to drag this on our composition. I'm just going to zoom out and you can see it's scaled in. So I'm just going to drag the corners and bring this guy in. Or you could leave it as it was. And I'm going to set the resolution to 3rd, just so everything runs smoothly. So it's going to render the video, and basically it's just a dance video. Usually you would do these with hip-hop dances, but depending on your design and the lines that you draw, you could use it for maybe ballet dancing, maybe some traditional dance, anything that you want. So I'm just going to keep about, 5 seconds of this dance video because we will be using it frame by frame and therefore it will be a little long. So if you see these full videos that are like 5 minutes and they all have these neon lights, just know that they spent a lot of time to make them. I'm going to cut the workplace short and let me go back from the beginning. This is what we're working with. She's just dancing. The original video is a bit slow mode, which is fine. We'll work with that. So what I'm going to do is to get my brush tool and draw strokes for each frame of motion. Let me hit pause and we're going to get the brush tool. But before that, we need to think about the fact that we're going to add a glow effect to these lines and we're not just drawing regular lines. So that means you would have to work with those lines later. So instead of drawing directly onto this footage, we will be doing it on another layer. That way we can add some extra effects without affecting the original video. So hold down Control or Command on Mac and press Y to make a solid. Let's go for the color black and then hit OK. And this will go on top of the video. But the thing is, we're going to change the blending mode for this thing. If I double click on the black solid, I'm in the layer. Remember that we cannot draw on the composition, but we need to go in the layer itself. Double click to get in the layer, get your brush tool. And we already have these things, these panels. If you're not seeing them, window, make sure you have brushes, paint, and the other workspaces that you need, the other panels that you need. So I'm going to draw something, and right now we're on constant. Let me hit Control Z to undo that. Make sure you're on single frame. Your mode is normal, and your channels, leave it on RGBA. And in order to create that glow effect, we need a soft round brush. So in the brushes panel, or you can make your own, just go for one of these guys. You can see it's different from a hard round. We want a soft round. I'm just checking to see if I'm happy with the size of it. Let's go for 21. Guess this will do. Right, and I'm going to come down here. I'm going to close this info guy, close the panel, close the audio. Our video doesn't have any audio. And I'm going to leave the preview on and just come down. You can see we can change the roundness of it. So you can change the other stuff that you need to. You can change the diameter, but we already chose, I believe, 17 pixels. And hardness, make sure it's at 0. And that's all you need. So you can see we have this glowing white brush, and that's exactly what we need. So let's choose a color. Obviously, if you want neon lines, you need to get really vibrant neon colors. Like, I guess this will do. So you can see it's neon, but it's not glowing yet because we didn't add a glow effect. Right now we just chose our brush, which was this guy. So we just went ahead and drew some lines like this. Make sure on single frame, so when you go back, you can see it's no longer there. That's because our composition, I believe, is set to 30 frames per second. So in order to reach 1 second, I need 30 frames. So 30 strokes. And I'm going to open this and make sure I don't have any paint on. I'm going to delete this for a second. I'm going to start over, go from the beginning. And now if I draw something, let's draw this guy. And you can see that we're not really seeing this on our dance video. So we need to change the blend mode of this black solid. Now the reason we made it black in the first place, let me go here, in the composition. The reason why we made it black is so that we can use it to remove the background of it. And to do that, just go on the black solids. Down here you can see it says toggle switches / modes. Click that, and now you have the mode. Turn it from normal to screen. You can see it's a separate layer. It has our paint effect, but there's no black. So that's why we chose black, and you could also use white, but because we're using these neon colors, black is a lot easier for them to stand out, unlike white. Right, so let's go back in the layer black one and do that again. Double click, we're in it again. So I'm just going to delete this paint stroke. Let's actually do it properly. But we also have this other problem where when we're in the layer black solid 1, the effect is not going to take place because we're only working with one layer at a time. So one thing you can do, let's turn this off for a second, is to draw everything directly on this layer and then just copy the paint layers and paste it into your black solid 1. That way you can see where you're drawing, and then you can just easily copy that onto your black solid 1. So I'm just going to double click on the video this time. Let's get the hand tool, and I'm going to decide where I'm going to start drawing. So I was thinking we could go with the shoe first. You can see she does some movement with the shoe, and the shoe is the easiest part to start. So let's just zoom in on the shoe that is moving, which is this guy. And we're going to get the brush tool. So I chose this neon color. You guys can choose anything else that you want. Single frame. Zoom in a little bit more. We'll go one more. And it's easier to go really in with the zoom. And I can see that my brush is a bit too big. I'm just going to type maybe 13. Maybe 8. Alright. So now you can see I can easily draw really cool neon lines. For the first frame, I was thinking we can maybe, let me undo that, create a line on the bottom of the shoe. And then you can either go with the preview panel. If you're not seeing preview, window, there's preview. Preview panel, hit the next button. You can see it says next frame. Or you can hold down Control and press the right arrow key, whichever you like. Now I'm on the next frame. So the first frame we drew a line like this, and now I'm just going to extend this line and maybe like go until here. Next frame. And we're just going to keep doing this until we reach the movement. And it will be a lot more smoother if you had maybe a pen board to draw with like a stylus pen or something. but this will do just fine. So if you don't have that, don't worry. You can see that by zooming in a lot and using your mouse, it's easy to do that too. So you don't need to have all those equipment to get started on this type of work. Kind of missed out there. So I'm just tracing the shoe, and then we're going to see how we can copy that and place it on top of our black solid one, and then we're going to continue to add the effects so that we could finish off this project. So I'm going to go back from the beginning. You can see I'm moving each frame. This is basically what's happening. And you can see I only made, I believe, like 5 or 6 frames. Gotta go in the pixels thing, effects, paint. Okay, so far we only made 6, and we're not even a full second in. So I'm just going to keep doing this until it reaches a second, which would be around here. You can see 1 second, and then I'll be back to show you guys how we can finish adding more effects onto this thing. Alright, so I went ahead and made 53 brush strokes for a total of 1 minute and 19 seconds. So you can see it takes a lot of time and a lot of brushes. I'm just going to cut my thing short, and let's play it back and see what we did. I made like a motion. I'm gonna let it render first. Might be a little laggy. Alright, and I'm gonna play it back like this so you guys can see. So I made some lines across her body as she danced, and then I stop around here. So all of these 53 brush strokes we're going to need to copy them and place them on top of inside our black solid one, and then we can add the glow effect. So go back to composition dance, and you can see they're still there. Play it back. This is what we did. And I did want to mention, if you wanted to do maybe multiple things within one frame, you could totally do that. So I'm going to go to like a frame that I want, maybe here. And using the brush, like we did, we're just going to add some random thing here. Let's draw like a heart over here. And if you want like a progression thing happening, you can see that I'm just drawing a line and I'm making it bigger as the frames move forward. Just little by little, so it will have a stroke animation. It's not a perfect heart, but like I said, if you have the right tools and a lot of patience, you can make really cool animations. And I also saved my project. Make sure you do that. So now we have stuff going on here, and we have a random heart appearing out of nowhere. Now there is a better way to do a stroke motion if you wanted to stroke something that is still. And there's a big difference, like this wall. If I want to add an animation to that, I could use a stroke effect that I'll get into soon. But if I have a moving subject, like this lady here, I need to use a single frame animation because she's constantly moving within each frame because she's dancing. And also you can change the colors halfway. Maybe I can add a vibrant red. Let's see which one's neon. Let's go for like a green. Alright. Really bright green. And while I have this blue, I could add like a green thing down here. So as long as you're within that frame, you can see the brush is just adding up. As long as you're within that frame, you can add as much brushes as you want. You can maybe delete something, change the color like we just did, and draw some random stuff outside of your subject. So you could do all of that. And let's go to composition dance. Now we've opened up the dance video. Just quickly name this so you know what I'm referring to, the dance video. And if you're not seeing this, if you open up the dance video, open effects, there's a paint option. Just gonna grab all of these paint all the way to brush 1, shift click brush 1, so you're collecting all of them. Control C or Command C. And we're going to go in the black solid one. I'm going to go on dance, hit M to close all of that. In black solid one, open it up, transform, and we're actually going to add a brush effect here. Just double click, and I'm just going to add like a random dot here. So now I have this paint effect. Go back in here, and I'm just going to hit Control V. Right, so I believe I only got we have a paint 2. Alright, there it is. So just close this off. You can delete that. Brush 63. This is the one we just did. Just delete that off. So now you can see we have all of these brushes like we did in the dance clip. And I'm just going to hit M on black solid 1 to close off the effects. Open dance effects. I'm just going to turn off this FX. So right now if I play it back, you can see there's no paint. If I turn it on, you can see there are there. So you can either delete it or just turn off the visibility, whichever you want. Now if we turn that on black solid 1, you can see we have all of these random stuff within our thing. Just gotta reposition it. I'm trying to reposition, go to your selection tool. I believe we made it too big. This happens sometimes. I'm just gonna drag it to where I think it was. Drag it here. And alright, it's back. It would help if you make your dance video and the black solid the same size, so you won't have to deal with this. But this is just for demonstration purposes. So now you saw that we only have this black solid and we're only seeing the lines within it, so there's no black involved. Now we're going to go on the, go to Window, go to Effects and Presets, and search for Glow. See, Stylize Glow. Grab and put this on top of black solid 1. And move in a few frames so I can see one of those lines. Let's zoom in. And now in the effects control, if you're not seeing effects control, which you should usually be on by default. This is what we're seeing. And we have some options to add the intensity of the glow. And don't turn on the stopwatch because we want these effects to be available throughout our entire clip. If you turn on the stopwatch, it's going to be an animation basically. You can add the intensity. You can see it's glowing. This was the before, 0, before, and as you add, you can see it's glowing even more. You can add the radius if you want to kind of fade out, which I think looks cool. You can do whichever you prefer. And you can change the glow threshold. If you go to the right, you can see it's like not even there. If you go to the left, it's kind of like a light bulb. Play this back. Zoom out a little. You can see that it looks a lot more cooler. It is a bit big. I'm just going to make it smaller. Go somewhere where I can see. And I'm just going to make it around 6 pixels. I felt like it was way too much. Now you can see we have this cool glow effect on our thing. If I turn off glow, let me go in a few frames. Zoom in. Turn off glow. You can see this is what we had before. Turn on glow. We're making it glow basically. So you can see with just a lot of brush strokes and some glow effect. Gotta reposition my black solid and move it a bit to the right. Make sure you move things with your selection tool. I'm just trying to make this fit. Again, if you used your kind of change the sizes of your both of the layers together, you won't have to deal with this. We have this really cool glow effect. Right, now I'm also going to show you the stroke thing that I mentioned earlier. So let's look for a subject that does not move. Let's say this ball. And I'm just going to zoom in on that ball with my scroll wheel on my mouse, or you can use the zoom tool. Get the hand tool and just center it in your preview. And instead of glow, I'm going to look for another thing. Let me go on to create another solid layer. Control or Command Y. Turn it black. Blend mode. Where was it? Screen. And I'm going to name this so we don't confuse them. Call this glow lines dance. Call this ball. Right. Turn off ball for a second, and we're going to do what we did with the glow lines dance, which was to, let me close this guy, double click on the dance layer to enter the layer itself. Get the zoom tool and just click on the ball until it's in the center. Get the hand tool if you need to kind of position it. And now we're going to get the brush. And I'm just going to, and remember that we turned off the paint, so turn it on. We need that. In the paint, you can either delete these. I'm just going to leave them be just in case I need them. You never know. And I'm going to, actually we could do that with an easier thing. Let me delete ball so we don't confuse the paints. Might be confusing for some of you guys. So on dance, just get the pen tool or the ellipse tool. It's not exactly an ellipse. Just going to try to use the pen tool to mask this ball. You can see there's a mask icon next to it. Just create points. Click and drag to make a curve. Add the curve here. And finally we have the edge down here. Hold down Alt or just move this guy in to remove the curve for the next line and just connect it. So we made this mask thing, and I'm just going to open mask 1, and I'm just going to copy, Control C, close this off, and I could have just done this here, close that layer, and we're just going to create a new solid layer, Control Y, let's call this ball. Could have kept the last one, and again, make sure you copy mask 1, Control C, come into the ball layer, Control V. So now we have this mask thing, and if you are dealing with a object that is moving, but like a really small movement, you can turn on the mask path. Right now it's turned off because the ball isn't really moving. Then you can make a few keyframes and follow the edges of that object. I'm going to delete mask 1 from the video, not the solid. And I can also just go ahead and turn this guy off. We don't need it anymore. So in the ball layer where we have the mask, I'm just going to change the blend mode like we did with the glow lines dance layer into screen. Now we're going to look for, let me get the effects and presets. It's going to open up here, look for stroke. Down here, go to stroke, just drop it onto ball. So we have some options. Again, effects controls should be on, and make sure you're on the ball layer. Don't add it to any of these. And if you feel like you may do that by mistake, just turn off the visibility or lock these 2 layers in place so you don't accidentally add an effect to it. So we're going to add some stroke options. And I'm just trying to see what we can do. Maybe add a color. Let's go for like a bright, we used green. I guess we can go with like an yellow, a really bright yellow. Hit OK. And I'm just gonna add the brush size. And I just realized that my mask, for some reason, it's all the way down there. I'm just gonna delete this and do that again. Make sure that I'm on the right area. Turn this off for a second. Go back to the dance video and just zoom in. Hit etch. And I'm going to get the pen tool and just create a mask for this guy. Click and hold for the roundness. Just going to zoom out a bit so I can see the edge of my ball. Cut this guy short so I can get a nice effect. I'm just going to drag this guy here. And I'm not going to finish it off in that area. Alright, you can open up the mask 1. You can add a path like we said. Let's try that. Turn on the stopwatch. You can see my video does move. I thought it didn't. So now in the last part of my video, I can just kind of drag this guy down. Now you can see that the mask is moving with the layer. You can see it's moving up and down. You can be more precise if you want. Alright, Control C on the mask 1, close that off, go to ball. And we have an effect going on. Let me just delete this effect. Control V on this mask layer. Right now there's nothing going on because we need to add the stroke, which is on the Generate tab, not the Stylize. Drag it onto ball. And we're going to see what is going on. Go to the yellow guy. Zoom out. For some reason, it's always in the end. Hit Control T on your mask and just drag this guy onto where it belongs. You can make it smaller. Command T if you're on Mac. And resize it. Oops, don't rotate it. Zoom in to make sure that it fits the ball perfectly. Right. There's my mask. It's no longer running away. And you can make the brush size bigger. Alright, and I just realized that my layer was turned off, the visibility. Just turn it on, or else you won't be able to see what's going on. And I'm just going to make this smaller. Let's go for 10. Add the end keyframe. Turn it to 0 first, and then come in the beginning of the clip, 0. Turn on the end keyframe, move into the end, and then make it 100. I also moved the movement of my mask. Just turn it on, and then by the end, hit Control T on the mask 1 and just drag it down a little bit so it meets with the ball. F9 both those keyframes. Now we can see we have this slow tracing of the ball, and it's looping because we cut our composition short. Let's zoom out. I'm going to change this to fit. So this is what we did. This is how you add these neon lines to videos. It was really simple, like you saw. It just takes a lot of time because you need to work with each single frame. So it's good to appreciate the animators who are spending this much time to make these cool dance videos that we see online. So we added the glow effect to both of them. Without the glow effect, you would just have a random color and it won't really be that cool. And if you're not sure how to get those neon colors, maybe the colors that we use aren't really up to your liking, you can always just search for a photo online that has those neon colors and then bring it into your composition. to use the eyedropper tool and just add it to your video. You demonstrate, double click. There's also this neon colors palette. Drag that guy in. And if you just bring this onto your timeline or just let it be here, and let me go, just bring it in my timeline. It's temporary. Just bring it on top. Now the thing is that we cannot really go on the solid layers because we changed the blend mode and it's also a black color. So if I go on the eyedropper tool and I just grab one of these, you can see that I'm getting a black color because that layer is just a black color. So even if I go on the neon layer itself, it's still not going to work. So I'm going to show you another way that you can extract those colors. So another way that we can do this, the only way that we can do this, is to kind of have the colors on the screen, just not in the viewfinder. So if I try to like click here, you can see I'm not allowed to do that because I need to go in each of those singular layers, and if I'm in those layers then I won't be seeing my colors. So I need to keep that photo open in my project panel so we can see a preview, and then go in any layer in the brush panel, get the eyedropper tool and just sample the color that is not in the viewfinder but in the project panel. So now we have that color that we wanted. Let me just close this off. Now we have that random line with the color that we chose. So if you do want that, just click on it here so you get this little box, and in the layers while you're adding those frame by frame animations, you can just choose any color that you want. Maybe it's a photo, but just make sure that it's a palette so it's easier to get it with the eyedropper tool. And yeah, let me undo that. It's a random purple line. Right. Go back into composition and delete neon colors. So this was it for this lesson. You can see we easily created this really fun animation, which has a lot of potential to maybe spice up some dance videos of your own or of your friends or family. And I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I will see you guys in the next one.